Hey everyone, it's Smitha. I am Glam Smitty on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And today is really exciting because it's a collaboration with two of my friends, Millie or Bad to the Brow, and Newport, or also known as Newport Makeup, on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. And I consider both of them to be friends of mine. They do really amazing work, so if you're not following them, I highly recommend it. They do tutorials, they do swatches, they do everything, and they do long form content. I have been pretty sporadic about posting long form content. I do hope to be a little bit more consistent in the coming months, but please make sure to check out their videos and to see what they picked. We picked 10 shades each, which is quite a challenge because we all love single eyeshadows in general, and so you can imagine that narrowing this down to 10 is no easy feat, but these videos can't be an hour long, so let's go ahead and dive into it, and I can't wait to see what they picked for their shades. And something that I really like about the concept of a one and done shadow is that you have one eyeshadow that looks like you put a lot more work into it than you actually did. So there's something special about the eyeshadow that just gives that sense of a complete look, a little extra sparkle, dimension, shift, something to it that looks like there's more going on than just one product. We limited ourselves to 10 eyeshadows, which for us, I think, is all going to be a struggle because we all love eyeshadow. And the first 5 that I picked are actually not pressed single shadows. They're all different types of formulas. The first formula that I want to talk about is from Lisa Eldridge, and this isn't the first time that I have talked about this formula before. This is the Liquid Lyrics formula. This shade is new to me as of sometime earlier in kind of the middle part of 2024, but I have used one other shade from this line for quite a while, and it snuck up on me as a favorite. And so this is the shade Liza. It's this kind of gunmetal. I'm just gonna blend it in on the back of my hand. And what I really love about this formula is, one, it's so easy to work with, and it is so dimensional and shiny, and they stay put. So this is a formula that I feel like I don't have to put a lot of thought into. I can blend it in with my finger or a brush, and it'll stay put, and it just has the most beautiful wet finish on the eye. And I feel as though this formula is going to work for a lot of different skin types and eye types. And yeah, I'm just really impressed. I hope that Lisa Eldridge comes out with more shades in the future, especially some more exciting shades. I know that a lot of people that gravitate toward Lisa Eldridge go for neutral makeup. I would love to see like, an icy blue, an icy purple. I think that would be so fun. But this is the shade that is, really one that I gravitate to, especially as a cool tone lover. The next formula that I want to talk about is from Violette FR. I actually heard that Violette is coming to Sephora, so that's exciting. This is, again, a liquid shadow, just like the first one that I picked. And, it has a lot of the things that I mentioned about Lisa Eldridge in terms of, the wet finish, the sparkle, the shine. This is the shade Scarabée. And with Violette, you get like, a beautiful story behind each shade, which is really fun. It's almost a romanticization of each product that she comes out with. And this is this really kind of beautiful goldy, grungy, goldy green. And just a shade that I really love. I will say about these, I do think they're expensive. They're like $30. There isn't, you know, a ton of product in them, but they're lovely. If I were to compare, I do think that, you know, in terms of like how good the product stays like before drying out, I think the Lisa Eldridge has the Violette beat a little bit in that category, but I absolutely love them, and I love it enough that I can get over my issues, my qualms with that. The next shadow that I want to talk about is from KVD Vegan Beauty. These are the Dazzle sticks, and I have to say that this formula absolutely took me by surprise how much I enjoy it. I didn't think that they would last as well on the lids as they do and stay put and have as much sparkle as they do. I bought a shade on a whim when it was on sale, and then I got hooked. So this is what the shade, this is the shade Dusk Rush, which is one of the newer shades that came out last year. It is a beautiful kind of purple with a really intense electric blue, maybe some green in there too. But it's this really beautiful cool tone electric looking shade. And again, just, you know, really impressed. As opposed to the first two, this has a chromatic shift in it. This is, I would say, is a duochrome. But another just formula that I'm very impressed with, and I hope that KVD comes out with more shades in this line because it's really impressive, and I think a lot of people have actually caught on. The next formula I want to talk about is from Trixie Cosmetics. These are the liquid shimmers called the Stay the Night. And again, I feel like people are catching on that this is a really nice formula. They are, I want to say duochrome. This is the shade Nice Aspen, and it came out in their most recent holiday launch with, they had an eyeshadow palette and a few other things. And I picked this shade just because, you know, I think it's pretty. I think all three that they came out with around that time are pretty. But they pack such a punch, and they look so good just all on their own, all over the lid. The same reasons why I liked the first three. I like this as well. It's easy. It stays put all day, and it's so sparkly. And you know, you do get a chrome shift with the Trixie ones. So I think that this formula is here to stay because it's a fan favorite, but really, really impressed with the Trixie Cosmetics liquid shadows. Okay, next one I want to talk about is from Ritual Defy, and this particular shade, this is called Olivine, and it's the Ice Soots. And this one was in the collab with my friend Andromeda. They came out with a grungy green focused collection with a lippy and an eye soot and a highlighter. And this is this really beautiful grungy green shade. I'm gonna find a spot on the back of my arm here to swatch it. But I love the shade. I do feel like, you know, this formula is going to be, you know, liked by some, maybe not by everyone, because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't fully set down. I find, you know, I don't have hooded eyes, so for me, it really doesn't crease badly. I think, you know, it will crease if you have hooded lids. And I know that my friend Andromeda said that what they do is they just tap it out, and it looks fine, and it lasts really well for them. But I do feel like, you know, compared to the other formulas that I talked about, that one is going to be a little bit more polarizing than the others. What I really like about this shade in particular is, well, I like a grungy green, but if you've tried some of the other shades in this line from Ritual Defy, they're not as sparkly as this one. And that was important to Andromeda. Andromeda likes sparkly shadows, like a lot of us in the indie makeup world community. And I think they did such a nice job with this shade. And it's one that I've come back to wearing quite a lot. I held myself back from getting it back up because I'm trying not to do that, but I think it's really, really beautiful shade. The next shade that I'm going to talk about is from Bella Beauty Bar. This is called Skin of a Killer. This is actually in a highlighter pan, but this is a shade from their Vamp palette originally. It was so popular that it came back as a highlighter for the Morally Grey collection. And this shadow, or the shade, is like basically nothing but like sparkle. It's a sheer sparkle. And the reason why I think that this is a really wonderful one and done shade is you can do so much with it. Of course, you can use it topped over mattes and things like that, but you can wear this all on its own and it's going to give your lids so much life. I also think a really kind of fun way to wear this is just with kind of winged liner. You're just gonna have so many options with this, and there are a lot of products kind of like this or that accomplish this because a lot of people like just kind of sheer sparkle or a kind of topper like sparkle effect because there's so much you can do with it. But this one from Bella Beauty Bar is so beautiful. All right, now I'm gonna get into my last four, which is my pressed single shadows from indie brands. The first brand I'm gonna start with is Cleona. I have so many favorites from these brands that it was really hard to narrow it down. I ended up going with the shade Tiara, and I'll explain why. Tiara is a newer shade, I think in the last year and a half or so. And this shade is super unique in my collection. It's not a formula that I think is the easiest to work with in that it is a little bit flaky, but it does smooth out pretty well. Currently I have it all over my eyelids. I don't have a tacky primer. It did have a little bit of fallout, nothing crazy, but I would recommend using this with a tacky primer. But I just love this kind of glowy blue, especially on my skin tone. I think if you have a skin tone like mine, it's really gonna pop. I think that this is honestly a favorite of a lot of people, just from kind of seeing on Instagram and seeing people's reactions when they saw swatches. It's absolutely beautiful. Next, we have a shadow from Touch of Glam Beauty. This is 50 Shades of Envy. Some of the shade names are really hard to remember because they're long. This formula is, I believe, the birthday type formula. It's my favorite from Touch of Glam. These are really interesting dimensional single shadows, and I just have so many favorites within this category. 50 Shades of Envy is one that I've come back to quite a bit. Here's what it looks like swatched on the back of my hand. You can see just how kind of like it's got that multi-dimensional, multicolored sparkle. Really interesting and punchy neutral shadows and so much sparkle. So I feel like if this is, if you like Touch of Glam Beauty and you haven't tried this formula, I highly recommend it. But this is the same category as one of my other favorites as well, Hallucination. Let me know if you have any favorites in this category. From Shine by SD, I have the shade Evermore. And again, I wanted to pick a category that I felt like was really hit the mark for this this one and done shadow category. This is what Evermore looks like. It is super sparkly. Oh, by the way, it's the Eternal collection. So super sparkly, dimensional, kind of similar in a lot of ways to the things that draw me to the birthday type shades from Touch of Glam. But these shades are so special. And again, so sparkly, neutral shadow, multicolored sparkles in them, and just really beautiful one and done shadows. So highly recommend the Eternal collection. And these are, I would say these are not topper-like. These are really like full opacity, interesting single shadows. Last shadow is from Terra Moons. This is one of their newer shades. This is Sliver of the Moon. I used this in a look not too long ago. There are, again, so many to pick from in Terra Moons, and Terra Moons has so many different textures. This is what Sliver of the Moon looks like. You know, again, I just have so many favorites. It's almost hard to, you know, to narrow it down. But this is another one of those shadows that has multicolored sparkles in it and is sort of an amped up neutral. There are so many really sparkly shadows, really colorful shadows as well. But I wanted to pick one that I felt kind of fit in that category of one and done, everyday shadow that was special. So this is Sliver of the Moon. And by the way, this is sort of like an in-between texture. So it's not smooth by Terra Moon standards, but it's not flaky. It's somewhere in the middle. You've got kind of larger particle sizes in this one. So keep that in mind. If you do prefer an absolute smooth shadow, it's somewhere in between, although this one really does smooth out really well. But I would recommend using a tacky base with it. All right, everyone, that was all 10 of my one and done shadows. I am proud of myself for picking 10 different brands, and a lot of the formulas were quite different, but these really are staples and have been staples in my collection for quite a while. I'm really excited to see what my friends' picks were. Nooper and Bad to the Brow, Millie. Make sure to check out their videos, check out their pages, and follow if you aren't, and let me know if we have any favorites in common. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.